man's boxing of 3 minutes each round at 11 stone 6 pounds for the middleweight championship of Great Britain. Between and introducing to you, defending his title, the middleweight champion of Great Britain from Crawley, Alan Minter. And in this corner, the challenger, the former British and European middleweight champion from Ivor, Kevin Finnegan. And the weight at 1 o'clock today, Minter scaled 11 stone 5 1/4 pound. Finnegan scaled 11 stone 4 3/4 pounds. Your referee Roland Dakin and your timekeeper Jack Groves. Thank you, gentlemen.
Two down, round one.
Kevin Finnegan in the white shorts knows exactly what he has to do tonight. He said before this fight, I'm fighting to stay in the game. I have to win. I believe I can. But if he doesn't win tonight, then the prospects for Finnegan are bleak indeed. Here's a man who once was British and then European middleweight champion. Gave up one, lost the other, and has never quite managed to come back again. And now he faces the man who very, very narrowly outpointed him in a fight for this same title last November, Alan Minter in the red shorts, southpaw from Crawley in Sussex, who seems to be improving with every fight. The way ahead for Finnegan is likely to be hard. £8,000 it's cost to bring these two together for this return fight. If it's as good as the first one, then here at the Albert Hall in London tonight, at Mike Barrett's promotion, we're in for a really good fight. Last fight went 15 rounds. There was nothing in it coming up to the 15th, and Minter stole it because he had the better stamina and the more determination in the 15th round. The prospects are that this will go 15 rounds too. Freddie Hill, the manager of Finnegan, on the right, promised that this time Finnegan would come fighting from the first bell. Well, it hasn't quite proved to be that so far. I don't think Finnegan's that sort of fighter anyway. He's a technically correct sort of boxer. He'll pick and pierce his way to victory if he's going to get it. But he might have to go a long, long way. Minter looks cool and confident. Champion with a champion's look about him. Good, clean, confident start by Minter. Finnegan trying to counter, getting outscored. Well, that will be a satisfactory opening for the Minter camp. That's all they could have wished for. He did all that was necessary. He kept in command, and Finnegan threw nothing at all that could worry him. Alan Minter, 25 years old, from Crawley, who, if he wins tonight, will win a Lonsdale belt outright to keep for himself.
Second down, round two.
So a quiet start by Finnegan in the white shorts, Kevin Finnegan, now the only remaining member of the famous pair of fighting brothers, Chris and Kevin. Chris, of course, now retired, having to quit the game with a bad eye injury some 6 or 7 months ago. Here tonight, Chris watching his brother trying to win back his old British title. cleanly and well already in these opening rounds. Finnegan looking slow. Kevin's never looked quite the same since he had his jaw broken in a fight at Wembley by a German called Frank Riker. Kevin won that fight, but he had to fight the last few rounds with a broken jaw, and he really has never looked quite the same again. It was just under 2 years ago. With Minter having proved that he's got the stamina to come good after 15, I wouldn't have thought that Kevin could afford to spot Alan Minter too many rounds at the start of a championship fight. It's a long haul back once you're 2 or 3 rounds down. Finnegan's left hand beginning to come into play a little more. Both men vulnerable around the eyes. Southpaw right lead, keeping Finnegan off balance and out of distance. Champion, Minter, coming forward all the time and scoring all the time. So Kevin Finnegan, 28, surely now must be 2 rounds down and only 2 rounds gone. So now he's got to win 3 rounds just to get himself ahead, and that's going to take some doing. Kevin Finnegan.
Second down, round 3.
The champion could hardly have wished for a better start. 2 rounds safely in the bag, unmarked, never really been in trouble. And a nice, comfortable lead, a good cushion on which to set out on the road to defending this title. The great danger for Minter will be if his eyes go. They used to give him a lot of trouble at one time. He's had some plastic surgery, which in recent fights seems to have cured the trouble, but nonetheless, one looks at them, and you look at them now and you see a lot of white grease smothered above the eyebrows of Minter. Look at that face. The corner clearly concerned in case he gets cut. Get out of the way of these punches. 2.5 rounds now he's taken them, and so far has found no answer. I think Finnegan's in real trouble, even this early. The effort that's going to be needed to subdue Minter is going to be something well above, I suspect, what Kevin can produce. But we'll see. much more authority about Minter's punching than there is about Finnegan's. And already Minter, even at this early stage, is beginning to open up with two hands. Neither man is a destructive puncher, but Minter's catching Finnegan with a lot of punches, and the accumulation of those punches is already, I suspect, beginning to tell. All the work. 3 rounds, completely Minter's. Must be 1.5 points ahead now. 12 to go, that's a good lead already. And this 25-year-old champion from Sussex has made as good a start as that camp could have wished for, and perhaps a much better one than they suspected.
Round 4.
Well, Finnegan in the white shorts, if he wants to get his old title back, has got to find something incomparably better than we've seen so far. One chance, really, is to cut it. First really good punch that he's landed. Minter coming square onto him, perhaps a little overconfident, and walks slap onto the right hand. But that's only one against many coming the other way. Grunt you can hear comes from Minter. Alan Boom Boom Minter. The breath being expelled through his nose as he moves in. The crowd rising a little to the first signs of real aggression from Finnegan. Round 4. But he's not doing enough to turn things his way yet. So Finnegan, in the 4th round, has perhaps found a part of the clue to dealing with Minter. It lies with his right hand. But he still hasn't won this round. Good left from Minter. What a good round that was.
Round 5.
Well, the first sign of encouragement there for Finnegan supporters, who are pretty thick on the ground here in the Albert Hall. There's a lot of them. And they hadn't had much to cheer about up to that point. The old right hand, the traditional counter to a southpaw. It worked. Finnegan's going to need an awful lot of them. the left eye of Minter. Just a bump, but it's something that might develop into something a little worse later. Still the aggressor, the hunter, determined to keep the title. Over halfway through the 5th round, and no sign of the right with which Finnegan had so much success in the 4th. He hurt Minter, and he drew strong reprisals from Minter when he hit him. Minter was worried, hurt, and he struck back with 2 hands. So once again, Finnegan found a way through, but doesn't quite find enough to get on top of the champion. So the fight is warming up, and Minter, 2 successive rounds now, has been disturbed by the punches of Finnegan, but not really hurt enough to make a lot of difference. Nonetheless, Finnegan came through with good right hands again, as he did in the 4th, and stung Minter into this savage reprisal.
Second out, round 6.
1/3 of the way through this British middleweight championship fight. Minter on the left, defending the title that he won against Finnegan just under a year ago, in as close a fight as you could have, apart from a draw. He won it on the last round after 15. Sid Nathan, the referee, then scored it just half a point for Minter. That's the narrowest possible winning margin. All on the last round then. Minter now in this fight against Finnegan has set off with a good lead. Shakes up Minter, the punch that shakes up Minter whenever he throws it, but it doesn't come quite often enough. Minter still comes forward. Popping out into the face of Finnegan, keeping him at a distance for the most part. And although the rounds are a little closer than they were before, it's still Minter. who keeps in command steadily, coolly.
Round 7.
Well, with 6 rounds over, Minter on my card has got a very comfortable lead. He's done most of the work, always kept in command. He's had his odd disturbed moments when Finnegan's fired the right hand, but the right hand hasn't really been fired often enough to make any difference. Minter's made most of the running. Southpaw style has kept the challenger at bay for the most part. Finnegan in the white shorts has it all to do, it's all uphill. It's a quite different fight from the first one they had some 10 months ago, where fortune swayed back and forth in the early stages. It was so close that coming up to the 15th you couldn't pick between them. And at the moment it doesn't look like being that way unless Finnegan makes a really big effort now in these succeeding rounds. Unless Minter fades and his past form doesn't lead one to think that he will, it's difficult to see how Finnegan's going to really get into this unless he produces a lot more good punches than he has. Just half a pound heavier, 11.5 1/4, 3/4 of a pound inside the middleweight limit. Looks the stronger man. Just when you look at him and compare them, he looks the bigger and stronger man.
Round 8.
Well, championship fights, 15 rounds, a lot can happen, and Minter's put a lot of effort into the first 7. Everything will depend, of course, on how much stamina the pair have left, but it's clear that Finnegan's taken more punishment than Minter has in the opening 7. But neither man is a destructive hitter. No real damage on either face. Finnegan just more inclined now to take the initiative against Minter than he was before. First few rounds he was content to counter. Once or twice in this round Finnegan's been the first to move. Minter's going back, which is a new move. Pattern shifting slightly. Good hard right counter from Minter there, going back. Definite change in pattern. Finnegan coming forward, Minter going back. Close round. Very little to choose between them on this one. And it's the first one that Minter hasn't really got hold of and come marching forward. Round. First sign of a shift in the pattern. For the first time, Minter didn't come forward throughout the 3 minutes. And that was an altogether closer round.
Round 9.
So now we're well on into the second half. I have Minter well ahead. Not an opinion, I may say, which is entirely shared around the ringside from what I can gather. People are saying around me. Some have it much closer than I have. But I've got Minter quite well ahead. Certainly true to say that for the last 2 rounds, the champion has not been the same dominating figure that he was earlier on, and he certainly isn't now because Finnegan has opened up on him, and Minter's in real trouble. And Finnegan sees his chance. They maul each other to the floor. Minter's gum shield is on the floor and has been for 30 seconds. Finnegan is going for the title with the chance there. Minter hanging on grimly. And he gets violent and rough. And it's crucial for both men. Round 9. The heads rubbing and cracking. And Finnegan's left eye is cut. One explosive round that has changed the whole complexion of the fight. Finnegan's left eye bleeding. Minter desperately hanging on and now fighting back. Appears to have come through it and settled down. Finnegan has thrown a lot of punches, used a lot of energy, has got himself cut, and finds Minter still standing up there in front of him. recovery. The title almost slipped from his grasp. But Finnegan finishes the round the worse off with that cut over the left eye. So from very nearly taking the title away in one dramatic and explosive round, Finnegan finishes the round with a rather bad injury on the face, and having expended so much energy, so much effort, and having in the end really got nowhere. For a few seconds there, the whole action was explosive and dramatic, and for Minter it was desperate. Round 10. So this championship, which wended its quiet way through 8 rounds, with Minter carefully plodding his way along to a points lead, suddenly flared into action. How much has Finnegan got left now? How much can he afford to open up with that injury over his left eye? How much did it all take out of Minter? All the questions thrown wide open by those 3 minutes of the 9th round. Heads crack again. Minter looks anxiously towards his corner. Round 10. It's a nasty looking cut. Curving downward cut near the bridge of his nose towards the left eye. Finnegan. And there's blood on the right-hand side of Finnegan's face as well. I don't know where that's coming from, whether it's from the original injury or whether he's got another one, I'm not sure. Now he's got a second cut. Finnegan has got another cut now, this time over the right eye. Round 10. And so, at the moment when his greatest chance has come, he seems to pick up injury after injury. Another two-handed attack, but there isn't quite the same savagery about it as there was in the 9th. And his face is smeared with blood. And Minter once again looks almost arrogantly confident as he sees the blood streaming down both sides of the challenger's face. Solid punches hit Kevin Finnegan, but Kevin, like his brother Chris, is made of courage, and there's no way he'll quit. But the task in front of him now looks almost impossible with those 2 cuts. Another great effort towards the end of that 10th round. But when he goes back to the corner, all he has to show the men there are 2 cuts, and they're both bad. And now the Albert Hall, which seems to be packed with Finnegan supporters, roaring for their man to come and get Minter if he can. They've patched up the injuries. He looks better. Minter's face is smeared with grease too, but he's not cut. Finnegan peers out from eyes which are disappearing between mounds of flesh, and the eyebrows above looking ragged and scarred and patched. Away past the stabbing ramrod of a right hand. But Minter's been poking at him now for 10.5 rounds. And the eyes begin very gently to bleed again. Looks like a man who knows he's come through the worst that the other has to offer. Good right hand from Finnegan. Looks rather worse than the right. Pushed over. Finnegan wipes the blood away from the right eye. To deal with this confident, commanding southpaw champion, Alan Minter.
Round 12.
And for the first time, the supporters of Minter managed to make themselves heard over those for Finnegan. And that might well be a sign of the way things are going. Only twice has Kevin Finnegan lost inside the distance, both times with cuts. Nobody's ever actually stopped him through sheer punishing physical exhaustion. You don't put the Finnegans away like that. Finnegan bleeding again. Minter confident enough to swap two-handed exchanges. Looking puffy under the right eye, Minter. Marked under the left, otherwise in no real trouble facially, unlike Finnegan. And from being a very quiet, almost sedate fight for 7 rounds, suddenly it's become brutal, hard, sometimes savage, and punishing beyond any question. eye suddenly streams blood even more badly than before, and it runs down over the shoulders of Minter, and the right now is bleeding very, very badly, and Roland Dakin is going to have to look very closely at those injuries. The blood is pouring down Finnegan's face towards the end of the 13th round. 10 seconds to go. Dakin looks at him, allows him to go on, and Finnegan's got a third cut now underneath the left eye. He's in a very bad way. But he wants to go on fighting. The question is, will the corner or will the referee allow him to go on? There's a lot of work to be done to patch those injuries up, marked all around those eyes. The left one very badly, above and below, the right one over the top. And the work is desperate to try and patch them, and Roland Dakin, the referee, is coming to have a close look. And there's some doubt whether he can come out, and he's going to come out. He's coming out. So on the fight goes. A marvellous fight, just like the first, although it's not nearly as close as the first because Minter is a long way ahead now. And it's a desperate stand now by Finnegan. Have always been renowned for courage, and Kevin keeping that family reputation flying high tonight in the Albert Hall. A lot of men would have quit before this with those injuries. He can't be seeing very well, the blood's pouring down into both eyes. Finnegan do? And when those two-fisted exchanges come, it always seems to be Minter who comes through them stronger and always finishes just that little bit on top. Crowd shouting and urging Finnegan to do something. But what can a man who has to look through a red curtain, what can he possibly do? And back he goes yet again, sprightly enough on his feet, but that face really is in a terrible mess. 2 rounds to go.
Round 14.
2 to go. And Finnegan, amazingly enough, still there. Although 2 or 3 rounds ago, you really would have bet that he'd have to be pulled out of this with those injuries. But the corner and the referee, Roland Dakin, giving this brave challenger every possible chance to win back the title that once was his. Freddie Hill and co. have managed to stop the bleeding. So Minter, who some minutes ago might have thought that he hadn't got far to go, is probably now going to have to wade his way through 15 rounds, just as he did before, against his one remaining member in the ring of the Fighting Finnegans. Slipping and sliding in the water in the corners where the seconds have thrown it over them to revive them. Finnegan drawing on untold reserves of stamina and courage and effort. Dragging up something from the depths of despair, bleeding badly again. Still one more round to go after this. The closing seconds of the 14th. Unbelievably courageous fight by Finnegan, drawing huge roars of applause from this packed Royal Albert Hall. So the return fight has been as thrilling and as dramatic as the first. Not as close by a long way, because I've got Minter well ahead, and in the last fight they came out more or less even for the last round. But if it's not even on the card, it's certainly even for guts. Minter's as well as Finnegan. So do great waves of applause. They enter the last 3 minutes. Finnegan in the shorts that once were white are now stained almost crimson like Minter's. To their last fight, and one remembers that the stamina lay with Minter at the finish, and that was how he won it last time. And you get the feeling now that for several rounds Finnegan has been fighting on nothing else but blind instinct. And he's hurt Minter again with the right hand in the last round, and he's hurt him again. And Minter suddenly wilts. The pressure has got to him, and he hangs on and over Finnegan. And suddenly Minter hardly knows where he is. At the very death, Finnegan threatens to pull it out. Just over a minute to go, and suddenly Finnegan might even yet win it. Can you believe that? the Albert Hall to a fever pitch of excitement. Minter visibly wilting under the pressure in the last 3 minutes. And unbelievably, Finnegan even now might just stop his man. 30 seconds. He's got him again. Minter blinks, not really knowing what's happened to him. Seconds. Finnegan bleeds badly from the eyes, but he's winning the last round out of sight. There's the bell. What an amazing championship it was, and Minter's won it. Minter had to win it. He was a long way ahead going into the last round. Finnegan certainly won the last round, but he didn't win the fight. The Finnegan supporters don't like it, but Minter's won it, and he's won it well on points. But what can you say about Finnegan? What a performance. He was beaten out of sight at one stage with bad cuts all around his eyes, and he still managed to come at the finish and walk the last round, but he was too far behind to make it tell. And the irony of that championship fight is that at the moments when Finnegan might have won it, he picked up his worst injuries. So Minter wins the Lonsdale belt as his own personal property. 3 title wins in just over 10 months. And as he goes round the ring, the victor, he hears very little except the booing of the Finnegan